Today is a great, wonderful, amazing, incredible day, and I'll tell you why. Because it's Sweden Day. Let's learn Swedish, counted 1 to 100. Without further ado, let's get into this reaction. Let's go.
Hi guys, I hope you're having a splendid day out there, and welcome back to Let's Learn Swedish. Ja, för tusan. This is the second episode in this VidMe exclusive Swedish lesson series of Swedishness.
Okay.
You know it, 100%. So in this episode, we're going to talk about how to count from 1 to 100.
Guys, I don't know how it's got to this point, this far in my Swedish learning journey without learning how to count from 1 to 100 in Swedish, or even 1 to 10. That's crazy to me. Like, how has it got, how? I don't know. But we're here. We're at 20,000 subscribers. Yay! Thank you very much, guys. Thank you for everyone who's new, old, been here for a year, hasn't been here. It's taken a year to get to 20,000. It's slow and steady, but we're growing, and I've had so much fun learning about Swedish culture, Finnish culture, like all the Nordic countries, and it's just the beginning. I haven't even arrived in Sweden yet. I haven't even been to the Nordic countries yet, the Scandinavian countries yet, so the channel is only just beginning, and thank you very much for subscribing. And if you haven't subscribed, be another one of the View family team. Anyways, guys, let's get back into this video and let's learn how to count to 1 to 100 in Swedish. Let's do it.
In Swedish. You guys who know how to count from 1 to 100 in English, this lesson's not gonna be super hard because the logic of counting in Swedish is pretty much similar to the way that you count in English, for example. So it's not like the logic of counting in, for example, Danish or French, where they have a different type of system of counting. Now, what could be potentially a little bit more difficult is the pronunciation, and that is what I want to go through today, because I'm pretty...
Hopefully I'll be okay at the pronunciation. Okay. I mean, after a year, I better be okay, at least.
Be sure that if you're learning Swedish from a textbook or in school, you're bound to meet the numbers in the Swedish language. We're not gonna focus too much on what the numbers are, but rather how to pronounce it like a Swede.
Okay.
So to count from 1 to 100 in Swedish, you actually only need to know the numbers 1 to 20. And I will get into why that is in a moment. But before we do that, let's learn the numbers from 1 to a 20. To a 20. To 20. That's how you say it. You can have an English lesson with me later on. But for now, we're gonna go through Swedish. So the first number in Swedish is ett. But it could also be pronounced en.
I feel like I knew et and en. I've heard that before.
As for all of you who are trying to learn Swedish, you know there are two different ways to say a car and a tree. En bil, ett träd. So it's the same thing for the first number. You could either say ett or en. So means same thing, but your choice. Which one do you want to use? And then you have två, tre, fyra, fem, sex. Really
sex.
Funny, guys.
I knew that. I knew number 6 was sex.
So immature. Yes, it's sex. That's how you pronounce that number. It's also the other word. It means the same. So immature, okay? And then we come on to the number which I think most people will stumble upon because it's pretty difficult to pronounce, but it's sju. Sju. It's almost like you blow.
Hur. That's hard. Hur.
Blowing out a candle or something. I've talked about this sound in a video over at YouTube. I will try to link that video in the description.
That's a weird word. 7. Why is 7 like that?
Below. So if you want to check that out, please do that. In that video, I try to talk about that sound and how I think that it's not that difficult to pronounce once you get a hold of it.
Well, I mean, you're a Swede. Of course you're not going to think it's difficult. You've been saying that, you've been counting from 1 to 10 for your entire life. Like, I don't find 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't find 7 difficult. Because why? Because I learned to count when I was like, I don't know, a baby. So But when you're an adult, it's like learning a new language is tricky. And the 7, what is it? Hugh? I don't know. That's difficult.
So be sure to check that out. But now let's continue on to the next number, which is 8. 9. Or you could actually pronounce it 9. I think that school books will tell you that it's pronounced 9. But I think it's my dialect probably. In Stockholm you say 9 or 9.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to use. 9. And then
let me know in the comment section if you say Nia or Nio, where you're from. He says Stockholm, they say Nia. So, I don't know.
10 or 10.
10.
Up to you. You can choose. 10. So that's one of the most interesting part about this, the ways of counting here in Sweden. That there are different ways of pronouncing things, and they are all correct. We're continuing on to numbers which I don't have hands for. So, 11. 12. 13. Here you can hear that it's pretty much similar to the English version of 13, which is 13, 13, and then you have 14, 15, 16, 17, 18.
So ton is like 10, right? So ton. That's quite easy actually. Sexton. It's actually easier to go from 10 to 20 than it is 1 to 10. Does that make sense? Or 11 to 20.
19. And finally, 20, which could also be pronounced 20 or 20. It all depends on who you are, why you are, and how you are. But you can use them however you want, pretty much. I would probably say 20 or 20. I haven't probably mixed them now when I think about it, but it's probably a good thing to know that if you're listening to a school book or maybe a teacher teaching you, that person is gonna tell you that it's 20, but it could also be pronounced 20 or 20. Good to know. So now when we know...
I mean, language is a weird thing, isn't it? Like, sometimes we create shortcuts in our languages to make it easier for us. Like, sometimes like a word is long and then you're just like, well, we could just shorten it and then we'll both know what we're saying. It happens all the time in language. It's normal.
The numbers from 1 to 20, we can just combine them. Just exactly like English. 21, you have 21. Here you have 21. It's not harder than that. It's just like a breeze in the wind. And here again, you can say 21, 21. Depends on who you are and how you want to pronounce it. Another interesting thing is that we Swedes, we like to cut letters. Just go to the end as fast as possible. So in this case, it's pretty common to actually skip the G and the O in 20 when you say the number 21. So instead of saying 21, you say 21. So if you learn that, you will sound pretty Swedish to me. At least to me, I don't know. So I'm gonna continue saying 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. It goes pretty fast. If I were to go the school book way, it would be 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. It sounds like a horse galloping. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. And then we reach the number 30, which is 30. Which is pretty much 3 tens. 30. But we say 30 or 30. 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36.
Okay, yeah, it's kind of simple actually. Your numbers are actually quite simple.
37, 38, 39, 40. 4 tens. 40. 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50 or 50. I would say 50 because it takes less of time, so you want that, right? 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60. 60 or 60. 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70. 70.
See, hutti. is weird to me.
that like 500 times now. Okay. 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76. And here's the, I think...
I get it. It's actually, you count very much like us. You just count just like English.
It's the most difficult number in all of the numbers from 1 to 100, which is 77, 78, 79, 80, or 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, or 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96,
I just don't know what 100 is.
97, 98, 99, 100. That's how you say 100.
Yeah, so it's very simple, isn't it, guys? It's very simple. Very, very simple. I think I could learn how to count to 1 to 100 in less than a day. Maybe a day if I really set my mind to it. Yeah, okay.
100. Oh, you don't have to say 100. You can just say 100. So there you go. You can now count from 1 to 100 in Swedish. It's pretty straightforward, actually. There's a few bits and parts that once you get a hold of it, then it all just sorts out. And from 100 and upwards, it's pretty much the same thing. Well, won't get into that in this episode, but if you want me to do that, then please say so. What I want you to take home with you today is the fact that the way you're being taught how to count from 1 to 100 in school
taught, that's what we say in British English. Taught, not teach.
Books, or maybe in school, I don't know, is often referring to the formal way of pronouncing it. In no means was the intention of this episode to teach you the actual numbers all the way from 1 to 100, but rather how to pronounce them in a more Swedish or less formal way, in a more general tone or a general way of pronunciations. I hope you learned something about that today. I also hope that you had a splendid time here together with me, because that
was very, very helpful. Now I know how. I don't know how. I already knew what sex. Is it sex for 6? Yeah. I feel like I already heard fia and otta or whatever. I think I've heard some of these words before, clearly in sentences, in movies and TV shows. On my Patreon. If you're not a member, then you're missing out, because we watch lots of TV shows and movies. What we're watching at the moment, the TV show we're watching at the moment is The Playlist, which is all about Spotify and about the way that it's come up out of Sweden, and really, really, really cool. Really, really interested. We're on episode 1, but there's over like 100 and... There's over 100 episodes and movies. It's crazy. On my Patreon, like, it would take you forever to watch all of the movies and TV shows we've watched together on the Patreon. So if you want to be a View family member, the link is in the description. I am at 20,000 subscribers, so it'd be a great thing to like chill out with me and be part of the Patreon if you're interested. Guys, thank you very much for watching. This was interesting. Until the next one, I will see you very soon.